Collaborative courts are a collaboration of individuals, including judges, attorneys, clinicians, probation, community members, in order to support people that struggle with mental health or substance use that has brought them into the criminal justice system.
The PACT court is all about recovery. It's a good program that helps you get back on your feet and get your life back together.
A collaborative court is different than a traditional court in a bunch of really important ways. The biggest one is, I mentioned earlier that the criminal justice system for a long time has been one size fit all. Do the crime, do the time. What we've begun to realize, and there's a historical perspective on this, what we've begun to realize is that it doesn't really help people. The California recidivism rate before the start of collaborative courts was about 72%. So 72% of individuals who went through the criminal justice system came back at some point in the future. Our goal through the collaborative courts is to reduce that number.
So rather than just a system where somebody's arrested for something and then they go to court and then they're punished and then it's over, it's never over at that time. We have a different system where we're looking at the person holistically and we're figuring out what caused them to commit these crimes. Was it that they need mental health support and they weren't on medications? Was it that they have problems in their family that they need counseling for? Is it substance use disorder that they need treatment for?
My role as a judge in the collaborative court is very different. In a traditional court, judges very much preside over the proceedings. In the collaborative courts, I've been assigned to anywhere from 3 to 5 courts. They are very different because we are having a team approach and a group setting. It's very different in that the person is not a defendant appearing in front of a judge. It is a client that's being served by the entire team.
I see the role of a judge in the collaborative court as trying to engage the participant. And I think right off the bat is that you have to understand that you need to listen and reflect back what they're saying to you. It's a much different role than you're used to playing as a judge when you're handing down sentences or trying to encourage someone to show up for court, or perhaps telling them what the negative consequences of some of their conduct may be.
I would say the judge is really sort of a voice of authority that's coming from a place of compassion and supporting the participant through the process.
What the judge did to help me was she gave me insight and praise for the progress that I was making, what I had in plan for the future. And when I told her that, I had to do it, so and I did it, and everything just worked out great.
Yeah, the judge's role that she played in my success was just, I think, because she had removed herself from the criminal court system, she was able to allow herself to have a better understanding and patience. Myself, I had violated restraining orders a couple times when I was in there, and not maliciously, it just happened, and she was able to have an understanding, a better understanding of what we were really going through, because she was able to take that time and have that understanding.
As a judicial officer, I encourage you to take leadership. You can set the tone for this collaboration. If you show that you're curious about language, you're curious about what different treatment options are out there, you're curious about what way you can communicate with a participant so that they feel heard, it really allows other people to shine and show their expertise and see this as a teaching moment.
I also believe a key element that a judge in a collaborative court should know is how to really engage the participant in the courtroom, ask them questions about their personal experience.
I would give the judge advice on being kind. Realize that we're not just people off the street. We are human beings,
people will look to you to set the tone and to start the proceeding. However, I think that the change of the dynamic in the courtroom is very much rely on the expertise. So in these collaborative courts, we have people that are working with the clientele. They have the expertise in the background to know what to recommend, and they're experts. And so to look and to rely on them as experts is the most valuable takeaway that I have learned through my experience in the collaborative courts. The district attorney's role in the collaborative court is twofold. So it is, first of all, in the initial negotiations or identification of a case, the district attorney and the defense counsel are the ones that really start the discussion of whether or not this would be the right kind of case for a collaborative court. And then also supporting that person throughout the process. When a client is coming to court for reviews time after time and seeing that the district attorney is even saying, hey, you're doing a good job, or not on them in a punitive way if there's a relapse, and working with the team to have that addressed in an appropriate way, they look at it as a different setting.
Yeah, so the DA's role in a collaborative court is somewhat similar to their role in a traditional court in that they are the prosecuting agency. And I think the biggest role is for them to continue to hold the defendant accountable for what they've agreed to do in participating in the program, and being honest with the court about how the participant is doing, maybe what needs to happen in order to get somebody back on track. But it's also important that they understand their role as part of the multidisciplinary team and step outside of that traditional court process or prosecutor role that they've always worn, and understand that as part of a collaborative team, they may need to do things a bit differently than they do in a traditional court process.
How I would contrast the collaborative courts to regular court is that in collaborative courts, there is a less adversarial aspect to it, in that the DA side and the public defender side is much more blurred, in that we're all working together for the defense of the client, but also the defense of the community.
It's a difficult role for DAs to learn to grasp. They're trained a very specific way. It's not what the collaborative courts do. While we're part of the criminal justice system, we're working on long-term rehabilitation, and we're working on it in a context which is very different from the California Department of Corrections or the state hospital system.
So what I would say to the DA is have faith in the system, know that your partners in probation are always going to be focused on community safety. That's always going to be our lens. And so we're working towards that lens, but also looking at it through a therapeutic lens and really treating the underlying cause of the behavior that led to this, whatever happened to the community, whatever happened to the client, that could be a serious charge.
I primarily focus on public safety and victims' rights. We exercise discretion, reducing some crimes from felonies to misdemeanors, discussing expungements or other ways to exercise discretion to motivate or help the participants as a reward. And we're not talking about guilt or innocence, we're really trying to work together with the other partners to ensure that the participant doesn't reoffend. And that's our primary goal, being public safety. We can help public safety by helping individuals get connected with services or treat whatever they need to not reoffend or not get back involved in the criminal justice system.
A public defender's role in a collaborative court is in some ways similar to what the prosecution does, in that I think they also have an obligation at the end of the day to make sure that their client is following a treatment plan or whatever commitment they've made to become a member of the program.
For the public defenders, that is a huge role, to be able to really encourage somebody to want a different life and to encourage them to take the help that was available. And then towards the end of a supervision of a case, the public defenders also are very strong advocates to say, hey, they've done a great job. What about early termination, or how can we assist them with record clearance?
But really, they're the ones that need to get the participant advised of what's going on, making sure their legal rights are still followed. It is a court of law. There are still criminal penalties, and to really have them understand what's required of them.
I regard my role in this not particularly as a public defender, but more as a social worker. because we're not dealing with whether someone's guilty or not guilty of a crime. We're dealing with trying to assist someone to integrate back into the community. Don't go in there trying to litigate each and every one of these cases. Go in there with the attitude that you're there to help people, to integrate people back into the community. And it's a completely different animal to the criminal justice system and the legal system.
Be patient. It's a long process. Your job is to make sure that the due process rights of your clients are represented, but also understand that it is an opportunity for them, and you need to be able to work with them individually or on your own. It's a little bit more social worky than the normal work that we do.
Probation's role in a collaborative court is representing the client. We have a lot of in-person contact with our clients, phone contact, in-person, program, home. So we can present that balanced assessment of how an individual is doing to the court and make recommendations about what they might need to be more successful, or potentially what they might need to maybe get a little bit of distance from the criminal justice system. So having them in a collaborative court just allows probation to really work much closer with the clients and tailor our case plans and our approach just to their specific needs.
A court case manager is very different in that we kind of play a dual role where we're a member of the court, but we also provide a lot of the community-based services that other case managers would typically have, but they don't have the aspect of the court. We also have the backing of parole officers. We have the backing of the DA and the judge.
The important aspects of the case manager is we're able to connect with the clients, meet with them out in the community, and supporting them and gathering any kind of resources that they need. We are actually able to provide treatment funds as well, supporting them with programming or sober living environments, SLEs.
There are resources in our communities, but they've never been organized, and we've never used them like we're using in collaborative courts. There are mental health services, there are drug treatment services, there are unemployment services. All those things need to be coordinated and put together, and the perfect case manager is someone who can do that, who has those contacts, and also is genuine enough to be someone that the clients trust and are willing to go to with their problems. You know, we have had tremendous amount of success recently with our collaborative courts, given the case manager that we have, because what happens is our clients develop such strong relationships with that individual that when they do relapse, the first call they make is to her. And that trust piece is imperative.
Trust and respect for all team members is crucial in this system. We have our pre-meetings, which we work together, and that's part of developing trust. So you can hear from the treatment providers about what their goals are for the participant. So if we can all work together, trust the experts, trust that they understand what it takes for this person to reach their mental health goals or their recovery goals, then the system works. It's compassion and accountability that makes this program work. When those two systems are working together, we see success.